The opinions brought up in this episode of A Teens to Toonies are my own and my own alone. You may not share the same opinions, however, it is not bad if you don't. Please don't attack myself nor anyone else that has worked on this show with me. Please also know that the topics in this episode may include, but are not limited to, racism, discrimination, politics, political bias, unsettling content. Please watch at your own discretion. Thank you. Hello everyone, my name is Zeb Fulcher, and welcome to A Teens to Toonies, the show where we don't even have a competent audio editor myself. I know the last episode had a lot of glaring audio issues throughout, but these issues actually existed in episode 2, and I was able to fix them more there, but I hopefully won't have to fix them anymore, and they should be better now. Here are this week's hot topics. A little background on what the worst administration the United States has seen since King George III has been doing this past 4 years. The administration has tried to repeal the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act, more commonly known as Obamacare, as well as other Obama acts such as DACA, which we covered in the last week's episode. Obamacare is a program that allows families who are not the wealthiest to afford health care within the United States. Recently, the administration has once again tried to remove Obamacare during, might I remind you, a global pandemic and recession. To me, that seems like a horrible and quite frankly dangerous decision for a majority of Americans to be going through just so the newest Republican president can destroy everything the last Democratic president did. This week, Democratic Representative for Tennessee Steve Cohen called for the impeachment of Attorney General Bill Barr, saying that General Barr has, quote, continually tried to delegitimize the investigation into foreign interference in the 2016 election. Cohen has also referenced to Barr's role in the controversial decision to remove protesters from Lafayette Square during a June 1st protest over police brutality, which allowed the president to cross the street for his photo op of St. John's Church. I feel that with the way that General Barr has colluded with tiny hands on so many occasions, most of them negatively to the population, should make him be prosecuted. This week, Mr. Build-A-Wall took a trip to Arizona to take a look at the famous wall that he promised in his 2016 election campaign and signed a portion of the wall. It's more of a large fence. The wall is not even close to being finished. The administration also attempted to move $2.5 billion from the United States military budget into the wall's budget. I mean, the military gets over $1 trillion each year, but don't you think that you should be spending that on the military, which defends not only your nation and other nations as well? Coronavirus cases have, of course, risen from 9,073,405 total cases and 471,183 total deaths worldwide, 2,356,802 cases and 122,250 deaths in the United States alone as of June 22nd, to 10,169,672 total cases and 502,808 total deaths worldwide, 2,617,847 cases and 128,243 deaths in the United States alone as of June 28th. As you heard, we have sadly surpassed 10 million cases worldwide. That's all for your hot topics this week. Up next, the dump truck.
Bing, bing, bong, bong, bing, bing, bing.
Welcome to the Dump Truck, the show where we point out the Tangerine Tornado's flaws, while he attempts to point out other people's flaws. This week, the president, God, it's so hard to say that, made a Twitter crapstorm of negativity to the credibility of Joe Biden, the Democratic nominee of the presidency this year, by pointing out that Joe said mistakenly that the U.S. has suffered 120 million deaths.
Unnecessarily, now we have over 120 million dead from COVID.
Yes, Joe Biden actually said that, but I don't think you're one to talk, Mr. President, because I want to look back at the times that you misspoke. How about the time where you said during the Revolutionary War that the Americans used the skies in defense of the nation?
The Continental Army suffered a bitter winter of Valley Forge, found glory across the waters of the Delaware, and seized victory from Cornwallis of Yorktown. Our Army manned the airport. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
Or what about the time just after the speech that you just said, where you said that the revolutionists also fought in the defense of Fort McHenry, when in actuality, those that fought were ones fighting in the War of 1812?
It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do. And at Fort McHenry, under the rocket's red glare, it had nothing but victory.
Or how about the time where, I don't even think this was misspoken, I think this was just plain stupidity, that you claimed that the way to cure coronavirus was to ingest disinfectant.
Right, and then I see the disinfectant where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning? Because you see it gets on the lungs and it does a tremendous number of the lungs. So it'd be interesting to check that. So that you're going to have to use medical doctors with. But it sounds interesting to me.
Or what about the time where you said that you couldn't see radar-invisible F-35 jets when they're right next to other jets because they were invisible?
With the Air Force wearing a lot of planes, in particular the F-35 fighter jet, which is, almost like an invisible fighter. I was asking the Air Force guys, I said, how good is this plane? They said, well, sir, you can't see it. I said, yeah, but in a fight, a fight like I watch on the movies, the fight, they're fighting. How good is it? They say, well, it wins every time because the enemy cannot see it. Even if it's right next to it, it can't see it.
So, Mr. President, it seems like you were very hypocritical in calling out Vice President Joe Biden. The Screaming Carrot Demon also said that this week that since this week is the 4th of July, there will be a large fireworks show at Mount Rushmore. However, officials say that this could be dangerous, not only to the people that are watching the show very close to the mountain, that the fireworks could have the mountain crumble into pieces like an avalanche, but it could also lead to more coronavirus spreading with the large crowds, and it could even lead to local wildfires since the mountain is surrounded by forest. That's it for the dump truck this week. More after this break. Hello everyone. This Independence Day, I want to thank all of those that fought during the Revolutionary War, on the land, sea, and like our great president says, in the skies. Those flying in and out of 1776 era airports, defending our great nation. If it weren't for them, we may not be able to call ourselves the United States of America. And what? I'm in the middle of something. What do you mean the Air Force wasn't a thing in 1776? What do you mean airplanes weren't invented until 1903? Our president even said that they existed. What do you mean that he's a terrible liar? Who wrote this? I did? Oh. This week, June 22nd to be exact, a woman by the name of Amber Lynn Giles posted onto Facebook with a photo of a Starbucks employee in San Diego, California, saying that she was refused service because she wasn't wearing a mask, and she couldn't because of a medical condition. She posted this with the caption, "Meet Lennon from Starbucks who refused to serve me because I'm not wearing a mask. Next time I will wait for cops and bring a medical exemption." Lady, he was just informing you of the store policies. In many chain stores and restaurants right now, they are forcing customers to wear masks for protection of staff and other employees, as well as other customers. Not because they want your medical condition to get worse. Many people like myself are criticizing Amber. One person even created a GoFundMe for the employee, creating a virtual tip jar, which currently holds over $80,000 worth of donations. Please, if you want to donate to Lennon, go into the description below and select this week's charity. The other story I wanted to talk about this week is this one. When the recent George Floyd protests first started to show up across the country, this girl posted onto Instagram with the caption, "Honestly, everyone needs to just shut up about the guy who died. Follow the damn law and there won't be any issues. He wasn't innocent. He was doing something illegal." Well, the person that took the screenshot caught wind of the comment, then replied to her in her DMs saying, "Hope you don't plan on getting into college." When she replied, "I actually have an athletic scholarship and I am moving across the country." With a little bit of research, the guy found out where she would be attending school and messaged Arizona Christian University, saying that there was a student saying racist things and boasting about joining the school. And sure enough, the school dropped the student before she even attended her first class. The lesson here, kids, don't say anything racist. It could ruin your life. Stay educated, stay informed, and stay inclusive. As we talked about in the last episode, the Republican candidate this year did a rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma last week, where the turnout of the rally was a 0.62% attendance, rather than their expected attendance of 1 million plus. And this seems to have been because of TikTok users and K-pop fans flooding the rally's registration site, causing a massive expected crowd to show up on the website's data. I would say that's a very successful prank. This week, the live streaming platform Twitch has had a lawsuit be filed on the company for allowing sex addicts and children to see overly sexualized women, where their terms of service say that they don't allow that kind of behavior on the platform. I agree that women who are sexualizing themselves just to gain attention from simps, a word meaning those that treat women like gold, and in some cases go into debt just to pay women to be sexualized, like the person who filed the lawsuit apparently did, should be condemned of doing so. But I also think that this is a very stupid lawsuit, because the person who filed the lawsuit said that he suffers from many conditions like OCD, depression, Crohn's disease, and others, that Twitch extremely exacerbated these conditions, causing him to spend tons of money to sexualize these women. The complaint goes on to say some streamers that are making his condition swell, which includes massive streamers such as Pokimane and Alinity. The complaint asks that all of the female streamers are to be banned permanently from the platform, as well as to pay $25 million in punitive damages. Now, some of these Twitch streamers make their living off of Twitch, so good luck with that one, buddy. More after this. Hello, everyone. So, as you heard earlier in the episode, today's charity is the GoFundMe for Lennon in the San Diego Starbucks. His GoFundMe is a sort of tip jar, virtual tip jar. It currently has, as of the recording of this, so 9:20 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday, June 28th, currently has $84,568. If you want to donate, you can come over to the link in the description and donate down below. As I said in the last week's episode, my city has put on a miracle day where the entire city has put on the largest food drive in the world, where we put our non-perishables out there on the porch, and the entire city picks them up. Since this only happened a couple days ago, we don't have a total number yet of how much food was collected, but hopefully by the next week's episode, we'll be able to see if we have reached the current world record. That brings us to the end of our time here today. We upload new episodes of A Teens to Toonies every Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on our YouTube channel, as well as Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Anchor, Breaker, CastBox, Overcast, Pocket Casts, and Radio Public. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at A Teens to Toonies with the number 2, or at the link in the description below. Have a good evening, everyone. See you next week.